We can go 5, 4, 3,
And we're back.
and we're back. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right. Well, this is our quick snack episode. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking today about Unfrosted, the Pop Tarts movie, as we call it in our house, which we happened to watch last night, finally.
Yeah. It, how'd you how'd you feel about it, Kevin?
Well, first I want to say is our viewers might be shocked that we're covering something that's non-Star Wars, non-sci-fi, but there is I think it fits into a lot of the things, the movies that we've been watching have had this retro sci-fi aspect, right?
Mm,
Where there's a kind of a 1950s, the dawn of the space age has and the technology and the dream that the dream of a perfect future, kind of before the dystopian future. It was like a beautiful future, was born in that era, right? The
mhm.
50s and 60s. And so this movie takes place in around, 1962 or something, in that beginning of space age, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And so I think it does fit
Mhm. And
in with our sci-fi. All that to
yeah,
say.
I'd also say that it fits our show as well, as this show's basically all about bridging the gap between, the your generation and my generation.
Through cinema. Very well said. Very well said.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Speaking about cinema, that I personally enjoyed the movie. I thought it was very funny. I loved, all the characters, all the like famous people and that were in this movie. I like, even not knowing what they look like, I've heard their voices in some of the shows I've watched, or like, for example, Tony the Tiger or Tony the Gen Sixer, uh, who's also been in the Wonka movie, for example.
And a lot of other movies,
Right? Yeah, definitely.
a lot of other movies.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I mean, it was like an action-packed adventure through not just Pop Tarts in the early 1960s, but like and lots of culture references of that time, but also so many TV references, so many inside joke. I mean, it was just one long kind of like not inside joke, but like meme, cultural reference, whatever.
Right.
I didn't love it. I would say I was a little bit disappointed. Maybe it was just the type of humor or something. I was looking for something a little bit smarter, perhaps, but shame on me. But yeah, I mean, there were some things that were like, I'm so surprised no one's talking about it. Like Mad Men, like this movie intersected with the timeline of Mad Men, crashed right into it. That's kind of interesting.
And what do you mean by that, as someone who hasn't watched Mad Men?
Well, Mad Men, I think it was 7 series long, and it takes place from, I don't know when it starts, 1960 or 1962 or something, right around the same sort of time, and goes basically through the 1960s and looks at advertising in that era. And so it's sort of widely considered one of the best, top five TV series of all time, up there with Sopranos and The Wire, and I'm sure there's a few others now that are
Andor?
up there, yeah, and so I mean, it's a series that has, like, everything from the architecture and the furniture and the kind of aesthetic and all this stuff going on. It's about it's about a pretty crass era of drinking and all kinds of things that and but anyways, and those two guys play themselves. I mean, it's interesting that they were allowed to do that, sort of. They play themselves, like they play the characters from this TV show, like ratcheted up a few notches, like they're, but
Oh,
very,
right.
it's just, there's an episode, there's a series that ended, and then, you get a little bit of
A little
this,
bit of a tease.
a little extra here in this. So, anyways, that was interesting, and like the Schwinn guy who was one of the experts brought on to try and help them figure out how to whatever it was, make Pop Tarts better, faster, quicker, whatever it was, and he goes away and comes back and hasn't done anything to do with Pop Tarts, but he's invented this new kind of bicycle. Well, that bicycle, I think Schwinn did invent that bicycle, and then there was another company I think that had a similar one. I mean, I had one of those bicycles, right? And so it was a kind of for a kid in the 1960s, that thing was as revolutionary, or perhaps more revolutionary than the Pop Tarts, and so there was a lot of like cultural, I mean, they're doing a good job of talking to myself and anyone older, pushing a lot of references and stuff, and trying to wrap it up in something that interests younger people without whether everything goes over their head or not. But to your point, like, oh my God, like how, like, it was just so packed with stuff, but at the same time, like, again, for me, there were certain things that were just like too silly, like the ravioli,
Yeah, the ravioli
sea
child.
monkey. Like, I get it, sea monkeys are weird, and what, like that they had the guy who invented them and whatever. I mean, that's it's funny, but it's kind of too much everything in the kitchen sink, like all of these things, thrown in together. And so that was a bit, crazy. um
I I really enjoyed it. I could see, where for someone your age or some of your generation may see like it's too many people, too many references. I
Not so
rather
much, sorry, not so much the references. I just mean that, like,
there's so much
it's,
stuff going
well,
on.
it just, there's movies where it's just like, it's not even there's no like narrative here, right? It's just like, oh, let's do something funny, and oh, whoa, here comes another sea monkey, and you know what I mean? It's more like a circus than something else. And I'm just saying that's not my style of
Mhm.
film, right? I think this is very interesting, and I think it's wonderful that it's captured it. And if anything, Jerry, you've done a great job of helping to bridge I think it is a classic movie to bridge generations. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I just mean that the humor sometimes wasn't exactly for me. But,
For me, though, I've got to say the humor was probably spot on. From moments like them buying all of sugar,
right.
uh, or or
Yeah.
them testing out the Pop Tarts with a
I,
guy in a suit and it ends up killing the guy.
what that's what I mean is that there was a lot of really great stuff in there, and again, I won't dwell on this, kind of the delivery wasn't for me. There's a lot of great, just like capitalist, like 1960s, like so much stuff. And then, but really, I think to what you've hinted at a few times here, it's kind of mind-blowing that all of a sudden you're like, hold on a sec, Tony the Tiger's got horn. I know, I recognize that. Like, what's got,
And then
and all of a sudden it's like,
oh,
that they've written January 6th into this, and like, we're Canadians, so it's, try not to comment publicly on American
yeah,
politics and incidents and stuff, but it's like, holy cats, like, how
the cat's out of the bag on that one.
well, I just, but I also mean, like, I haven't heard anyone actually, like, I haven't read anything about this. Like, how, I feel like people haven't watched it yet, like
Like the actual January 6th or
no, I
just
mean, no, of course, January. I mean, that people haven't watched this movie. Like, why aren't people saying, like, holy cats? Like, I don't know. I just haven't seen stuff about this movie, Like, why haven't people said, like, oh my God, they wrote January 6th into this Pop Tart movie? You know what I mean? Like,
maybe it's that, like, for people who would get like offended about it, like then they'd have to say, yeah, I watched the entirety of the Pop Tarts movie. And then like
I'm just saying, like it's very bold of Jerry to do it. That's all, and everyone else. Like it's just I mean, it's just like wow, like there's a lot in the movie, but I mean, it's a big part of the movie, right? The whole ending part, like
Yeah.
kind of, and it's like, holy cats, you know?
Sorry, Jerry, that wasn't directed to you. Just about.
Anyways, anything else? Like I mean, I think it's an interesting movie, and I would absolutely recommend that everyone watch it
Mhm.
because there's a lot of stuff going on. And, if you're younger, watch it with someone who's older,
Yeah,
just to,
just like us.
just like us, just to talk about it
Yeah.
all, right? Because there is like so many references, from the
Oh.
50s and 60s, and and there's stuff there for me that I remember about my dad and my dad's era and stuff, right? Because in 1962 I wasn't alive, but like I grew up knowing some of those
Mhm.
references, and the rockets and the spaceships and you know,
This movie, I gotta say, has more jokes and cultural references than I think there were grains of cereal total.
well, there you go. Good one. Yeah, I mean yeah, like the characters,
Like,
the Quaker guy.
yeah, like the like, oh, they're getting rid of religion in our cereal. Come on, guy.
Right.
Or the buried with full cereal honors.
Well, like yeah, there was, I mean, that's the kind of thing that for me went like not just a bit too far. Like that's just like classic like comedians like pushing something too, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like
like
taking something funny and making like a full 5 minutes of it, and it's like, could have been a one liner. You know what I mean? Like,
uh here's for example, the president of the show of the company of
right, Kellogg's.
Kellogg's. He, I know him as like a comedian who's the only reason I think I know him basically is because of videos I've seen online of him, not critiquing but making
Yeah.
jokes of Canada,
Oh,
where
interesting.
he talks about like moose and how terrifying they are, or
Yeah. Yeah.
there's so many
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is amazing is how many people, how many cameos, how many famous people, how much,
right, like there's a
it's crazy.
cameo, like even if it's like for like five. That's the thing. They aren't just there for like 5 seconds. They're there for like a full skit, basically. Like
Right.
they're
Yeah.
there from start to finish.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
it's crazy that they're, either one, able to pay for all these people's salaries,
Right.
or
It's true.
two,
Yeah.
I get that it was either they paid a lot of money for this movie, or that Jerry was able to
Call
pull a
it,
lot of strings.
call in a lot of favors. Yeah.
Yeah, like, hey
Yeah.
man, for
Yeah.
5 minutes,
Yeah.
I need you to be January 6th, Tony the Tiger.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, anyways, good movie. Find somebody older and younger than you,
To
and
watch
check it
this
out
with.
and let us know what you think about it.
Yeah,
Don't forget to subscribe,
hit the
send
like button.
hitting the like button, send us your questions, and we'll catch you on the next one.